believe that I'm saying that, but our first show of our tour is tomorrow. And so, yeah, it feels pretty exciting. And somehow I'm like not too overwhelmed. I'm not sure if that is out of naivete or just the fact that maybe for once I'm actually prepared. But it's a good feeling to be walking into a tour feeling like I'm actually ready for it. So anyways, I'm really stoked. And I know this is an unusual time for the AMP show, but thanks for everybody for joining and coming in a little bit earlier than normal. I'm really excited because we also have a great guest today. We have Jacob Sartorius. And I'll give him more of an intro in a bit. But maybe before he comes on, I might just start out by playing one of his songs. He's like one of those incredible individuals who does it all. Everything from, music to acting to documentaries to social media. So I think a fun way to start would be I'm going to play one of his songs. I'll start out with Make Up Your Mind. I think it's his newest release, if I'm not mistaken. So let's jump right into that. Amazing. Okay, so that was Make Up Your Mind by Jacob Sartorius, our guest for today. I really like the play on words in that. That had some really clever, even the way it's spelled like makeup, make up your mind. Anyways, I like a good play on words. It makes me like smile as a songwriter myself when I hear clever stuff like that. But also, I forgot to mention earlier that if you haven't seen it yet, you guys, I released my new music video today. So I hope you get to check out Joy to the World in the chat. Let me know what you think of it. And by the way, I'm super excited that there's a chat feature now. Like, what? I'm not sure when this happened, but I realized it today. I'm like, there's chatter. I didn't know that the app could do this. Obviously, we haven't done a show in like 2 weeks, so it must have recently updated. So anyways, keep your chats coming. Jacob is actually here, so I'm going to bring him into the chat. But before I do, I want to give him a little bit of a bio read because he's pretty incredible. So he's now LA based, and he has been on the internet, in the spotlight since he was 11 years old, which is just mind blowing to me. And over the course of his career, he's earned a People's Choice Award, a Kids' Choice Award, and a Teen Choice Award nomination, or the nominations for the latter two. And he is also one of Gen Z's fastest growing stars with 39 million plus cumulative followers across the apps. That's crazy. He's an actor, an advocate of mental health, a singer, songwriter, and he recently released a documentary as well as his highly anticipated Sleep While I'm Dead EP. So I'm going to go ahead and invite in our star for the day, Jacob Sartorius. Dang. I think I believe he's 19 now, and that is quite a life to have lived by the time being 19. Hi, Jacob. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed listening. And I just wanted to say I watched your brand new Joy to the World video, and it looked incredible. So I'm really excited.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time to watch that. I really appreciate that from one creator to another.
Yeah. And also, I'd be lying if I said that I hadn't watched you growing up as well, from America's Got Talent. And like, I've definitely kept up, and I'm a huge fan, and you're extremely talented.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. And I do believe it when you say you grew up to me, because you've been doing this for 11 years. And so I'm sure that we've probably kind of run in a lot of the same like YouTube circles and like all of that. I'm sure our paths have probably crossed multiple times at different events, and we've just probably never gotten to meet.
Yeah, for real.
Well, I mean, gosh, I think you're just so fascinating since you have been in the spotlight so long, and you came into the spotlight at 11 years old, which is just crazy. I just feel like you have so much wisdom to share with people on how to handle the spotlight gracefully, because you really have come into your own through social media, and you've learned how to like weather the storm in a crazy way. And so I guess just starting off, first I want to talk about from a really young age, you've loved performing. And what was it that drew you to performing when you were I believe it was 7 years old?
Yeah. So I think it might've been maybe watching a musical or it must have been seeing some sort of theater, because the first thing I did was at 7, I started doing theater, young actors theater. And that was my first intro into singing, dancing, acting, and just being this like creative version of myself that I had never been able to before. And I know that's super young to want to do that, but I mean, it was, it changed my whole perspective, and has allowed me to continue to work on the music to this day, and songwriting. And I would not have, it was the best introduction to all three of those parts of the industry. And I met a community of people through theater as well. And I remember just having this feeling of, wow, I'm in a room with other people that like want to do creative stuff. In, we're in Reston, Virginia, where I grew up. It's very common that people just will play sports, and that's kind of like what a lot of my friends were doing at the time. So I did feel like a little bit, I was scared to start doing theater, honestly, because it kind of had this, I guess people might have looked at it as weird or something at the time, and I always thought it was the coolest thing. So I'm so glad that I decided to join this group of young actors, and that really has changed my that changed my life. And I would probably not be doing social media or anything like this today if I hadn't got that introduction.
Yeah, that must be so great for other people to hear you say that, because like I mean I played in orchestras as a kid, definitely not the cool thing in school for sure, but it does take a lot of courage sometimes to say like, well, I think this is cool, and just because maybe the outside perspective doesn't think it's cool doesn't mean it's not. It doesn't mean that I can't be excited about it just because they're not, and they maybe think it's weird. And so, I'm sure that helps so many kids and, or adults even, to hear, that perspective and hear you say that. Do you feel like acting helped you get into, or I guess the courage to step in front of social media at an early age?
Yeah, I would say so. Just like breaking out of my shell, because I always had this part of myself, and I still do, that's like a bit introverted and kind of a homebody, and I really like being alone, and I don't mind it. I like, I really enjoy that. But then there's another side of me that I guess in front of people or in front of a camera that kind of wants to connect. I've always had this deep desire to like connect with people and feel like I was part of a community that's bigger than myself. And so like going live on this app called YouNow, which it was in the beginning, and Vine was one of the first things I did. It just felt like a dream come true to have found another group of people all over the world that somehow have like engaged with this content, which was pretty cool. And I'm really appreciative for that.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about having a community? You were saying you love being in a community, you love that ability to have it, but like what's your favorite part about it?
I think that we can all lean on each other. Like if I'm having a bad day, I could turn on like my Instagram live and just be honest with my followers and say, hey, like this is what's going on in my life. And I've tried to do that the best I can. Sometimes I'm not good at talking about the way I feel, but and through the music as well. But I think just like leaning on each other, and I get DMs as well, kind of the yin and the yang of it, which is like, I get DMs from these people as well that are saying, hey, this is what I'm going through. This has helped me a lot. And there's a way that we can kind of be there for each other within that community, which is pretty cool. And it's almost like I would say it's closer to a family than anything.
Yeah. Do you feel like over the years and the decade you've been doing this, do you feel like social media and its ecosystem has changed throughout your career? And then also, secondary question to that, like how has your relationship with social media changed?
For sure. Yeah. So it's changed completely. And I'm sure, like and the people watching, they've seen this evolution of different apps. Like, it was Musically, and then Musically kind of fell down. And now TikTok, which is the same app, is absolutely popping. So I think it's like in this in this day and age, it's so crazy. Like there's so many apps, and the discovery is incredible on TikTok. So I've always been a huge fan of organic reach. which is
Mhm.
just like if you post something, how many people have the chance of stumbling across that video. And a long time ago, Instagram was really like that, and they really pushed content. Vine was like that at one point, and Tumblr, and all these apps that had extreme reach. And I think right now it's TikTok, but it's changed completely. Yeah. I'm still kind of figuring it out, if I'm being honest, because it has changed so much that there's
Yeah.
no real I guess, algorithm to try to play to. I think it's just about being 100% authentic. And so like I've found that the videos that I don't try on TikTok do better than the ones that I'll plan out and I think are a great idea. So I'm honestly just kind of testing every day. I probably upload a couple videos a day, and most of them I
Mhm.
delete because it's just testing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I'm just trying to figure it out. You know, I actually don't know currently where things stand. But I think it's a really interesting thing, and it's always changing. And I'm sure after TikTok, there's going to be a new wave that no one was expecting. And you know, there always are new ideas. I always get in this trap of saying, can they invent something better than TikTok? Because TikTok is like Vine, Instagram, all these things combined. And um, I think they can. I think there's always new ideas. So I'm excited to see kind of where it goes from here as well. And I hope to keep riding the wave, or at least attempt to, and not fall off the surfboard.
Hey, yeah. So are you good at like disconnecting from, because I know myself, I try really hard to like disconnect from the content I put in the world, the art that I make, and be like, hey, you know what? That one didn't do good. I'm just gonna delete it and that's fine. Like, are you good at that and removing yourself from making it really personal, or is that something that you struggle with too, like kind of the results of how things do?
Yeah, that's something that I've always kind of struggled with was, you know, not really looking at the reaction to what I do, but making sure that what I do is like authentic. And that's something I battle with all the time. I think it's it's kind of like a problem, you know, like on Instagram, I see a lot of people are hiding their likes, and I was gonna start doing that as well, but I kind of came to this realization that was like, look, like I don't really want to hide. That actually helped me rather than like hiding my likes. Like I don't care how many likes I get. I had to just say that out loud. And
Mm.
you know, I don't really, I guess at the end of the day, as long as I'm able to create and write music and journal and do my breathing, and I have these other things now that are kind of grounding, but I still do, of course, I'm paying attention to, oh, this video did better, or should I delete this because it's not doing as good? You know, I definitely go through all that.
For sure. Okay, you just mentioned breathing, and one, when I saw that, you know, that your documentary is about breath, I
Yeah.
got really excited because only in the last year I've fallen upon breath work, and it's changed my life.
Yes.
Um, and it's something that I like kind of am annoying about when I get talking about it, because I get so excited to share it with everybody, and they're like, whoa, we just asked a question, and I'm like, sorry, I just vomit on people because I get really excited when I talk about it. So anyways, I want to
Yeah.
stop and I want to let you talk about your documentary. And first though, I want to know, how did you discover breath work, and then what was it that made you like really decide to lean into it?
Yeah. So that's awesome, by the way, on the breath work. Like everyone's kind of, not everyone, but a lot of people are getting on the wave. And that's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's such a cool community because we could talk for hours about the benefits that it's had. But yeah, this breathing, how it came about was I was actually talking to one of my therapists, just explaining that I'm really struggling. And I wasn't trying to keep taking prescription medication because that was something that I'd been on for a long time. And I just kind of personally, I felt like I know that I can like tackle this without the medication, but I also was aware that I didn't have something in my life that could be kind of that grounding thing that I stick to, that becomes part of my routine. And so actually my therapist said, hey, I think you should try, have you ever tried breathing? And I was like, yeah, dude, I've been breathing for 19 or 18 years, you know? And he's like, no, I mean like conscious breath work. And I had no idea what that was. So he sent me a link on YouTube to like a guided Wim Hof breath work method video. And I remember just closing my eyes, and I was laying down on like a beanbag chair, and I just went somewhere else. Like after about maybe 20 breaths, I felt myself just like forget about everything that I was trying to forget about.
Yeah.
And I felt my body relax, and I felt like the sweating in my hands from anxiety kind of reduce completely. And so I just almost immediately clicked to it. So I started doing it. I said, you know what? Okay, breathing's not that hard to do. It's free resource, you know, like I need to like add this in. And so I started doing it for maybe like a week or two. And I just became like almost a different person, you know, like I felt more present. I
Mm.
felt like I was able to actually express the things I want to and not shy away from them because of fear and then regret after why I didn't actually speak my truth. And this allowed me to just break down that wall almost immediately. And you know, so I became so obsessed with it that I almost became addicted to it, and I still do it every single day. Before this, I did my breathing, and it's an essential piece of what I do. And I'm no longer on prescription medication at all. So it's actually like replaced it in a way and allowed me to find that peace. But how it came about the documentary was I was doing it for probably about a month. And then I looked up Wim Hof on Instagram because I've seen this guy in the Guinness World Record books. And, you know, I've seen his like crazy thing, the Iceman. Like I always knew that nickname, the Iceman. And so I honestly, I think I was just like out one night and I just DM'd him on Instagram. Like I just somehow like impulsively DM'd him and I said, hey, like you have literally changed my life with this Wim Hof method. And like if there's anything I can do to help bring this to the younger generation, I want to do it because I know that my fans and not my fans, I hate saying that. I can't believe I just said that. My supporters or family, you know, they're going through similar things as I am. You know, we're all almost the same age, or you know, we're the youth, and we're struggling a lot right now. The world's in a really crazy place. Like I'd love to bring this to my followers, and I got a response back from Enam Hof, who's Wim Hof's son, who runs all his social media, and he was all about it and excited to do this idea. So I was like, wow. Like I called up my boy Sam Cahill, who's a very talented videographer, and he's directed music videos for me in the past. But I just knew he was right for this type of documentary, and I was like, look, you down to go to Amsterdam pretty much? And he was
Wow.
like, yeah, I am. And we linked with the teams, and they found a date, and I was able to go out there and see him. And so that's what this Breathe documentary like really covers, is that day that I spent with him and taking the ice baths and working out and all this crazy stuff. You know, he's just somebody that is almost impossible to forget. And so, yeah, it's honestly like I couldn't be more of an advocate for it. Like it's crazy. I've never really stood behind something like this, but this breathing is it's life changing, and the cold as well. So cold showers or an ice bath, it can really bring you to the present moment. So, you know, like you said, I could talk about this for a long time. So I think that'll probably do it. But the Wim Hof method, I feel it.
It's really cool to hear you speak about it. And you know, I think a lot of us that have come to breathwork came for similar like reasons. It was like, okay, tried the medication, it's not working, like what's up?
Yeah,
It's just so amazing that through merely connecting with your own body through the most primal mean of like giving it attention in its breathing, like it's amazing what to do. And what you said about just the ability to be present, I think is my favorite thing that breathwork has done for me. And it's amazing once you become like present and you are actually living in the moments of life. Only then can you realize how unpresent you've been for like almost
yeah,
sleeping through your whole life. Or a better way to put it is almost like watching my life happen, but not fully experiencing my life happen. And anyway, so
yeah.
I love that you talked about just your ability to suddenly be present. And has it helped you with like the things that you originally sought it for, like anxiety and all of that?
Oh, definitely. You know, I think I'm naturally a pretty anxious and depressed person, just like through my um whatever, like physical build. And um, I think that, yeah, it kind of makes me feel like I'm normal. Like, I don't know what that means, but like, I could be hanging out with my friends and I just know that I'm not present. Like, I know I'm really struggling and I feel like everybody else is a lot more present than I am. And once I do this breathing and once I take that cold shower and I'm kind of shaking with, how cold I am, it really gets me outside of my body. And I'm like, wow, I think I'm just like, I can like exist like my friends, like who don't have like as many like mental health things that they got to focus on. And so it really allows me to just feel like I can be one with the environment that I'm in, rather than like just in my shell of a human. I've spent a lot of time hiding um, from fears in my head and from situations that I felt would feel uncomfortable. And I spent so long, I guess, yeah, running away from my truth. And so this has just allowed me to like take a deep breath and to do the things I've never done, to become who I've never been, I guess.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's really powerful. And I really do feel like way more people can relate to exactly what you're saying than it may seem. Like I think there's so many of us that are great at coping and making it seem like we got it all together. But I think deep down inside, like so many people, like when I started to express to some of my friends, like I feel present. I'm not constantly worried about like how much time is left at this party before I can leave.
Yeah.
Feel like it was okay or whatever. And so many people have been like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about it, but I do the exact same thing, and so it's like, I really feel like this is something that like our world breeds anxiety nowadays. And by merely going back to how we were created is how we can like get through it. Now talk to me more about the cold shower though. I have not done, I probably do one like once a month just because I know that I'm supposed to, but tell me more about the cold shower and why, like you're going to have to really convince me here because I hate being cold.
All right. So with cold exposure, my favorite thing is the increased dopamine. So there's like so in science they've done, so there's lower inflammation from it. You get a boost of energy, increased adrenaline, increased dopamine, way above normal dopamine. I think it's plus 2.5x above normal. Just after, I think it's a minute or two exposed to water under 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So like that has like crazy change. I think there's also a study that was like with chocolate and with the gym, your neuroepinephrine levels, which is like basically, I guess, like adrenaline. Like if you eat chocolate, it goes up 2 times. If you work out, it goes up like about 2.5x around. But when you do this this cold exposure, the neuroepinephrine levels go up by like 500% for up to 3 hours. So like, like these people that are getting in these ice baths, which I don't do on the daily, I do cold shower. I can only imagine that feeling of taking that ice bath every day is like extreme. It's like extreme serotonin. Like you literally feel like I don't know how to explain it. It's like the breathing is fantastic for becoming present, but then this is like, I don't know, this is like a physical thing. It's like you don't really have to do much. You just got to stand in the water and control your breathing and long out breaths. But the amount of like I guess energy that can come from that, like a lot of the times I will feel low energy, but after getting out of a cold shower, I'm making noises that I don't even know. Like I don't think they're human. Like I think I'm just like so excited that I'm like, ooh, like I just start like I jump up and down and like I feel like I'm a little kid again, which is like the craziest thing. And like you said, yeah, going back to these things that have been around for so long that it almost have gotten lost in this modern society. Like, Wim Hof was not the first person to, do these breathing techniques. These have been around for a long time. And he's put together, this cold exposure mixed with the breathing. And he calls that the Wim Hof method. But there are so many, I've tried many different breathings. And honestly, on the daily, I'll switch up the technique because I think everyone is a little bit different. You know, some are just like go walk in snow barefoot, and that's like,
Yeah.
wow, like that's pretty nuts. So, you know, but cold exposure is amazing because the best way I could explain it for everyone that's never tried it is like if it's snowing where you are and you know, like that walk back from the car and you don't have a winter jacket on and you get the chills kind of, but then you go inside and it's like warm. It's like
Mhm.
that's like what you go through. It's like you go from the most uncomfortable, you're willing to be uncomfortable so that nothing else can make you uncomfortable. So like I used to get triggered a lot, or I used to get panic attacks at the most
Mm.
random times, honestly, at the worst times.
Oh yeah.
And it felt like my body was against me. Like I didn't feel one with my body. And so this has like almost completely stopped the panic attacks. I mean, of course, if something terrible happens, I do react accordingly. So like I'm not a superhuman like Wim Hof yet, but I'll say that it's definitely changed the way my perspective and what I choose to focus on.
That's incredible. Okay, I've heard like Derek Huff, my buddy, talks about ice baths. Lewis Howes has been telling me to do ice baths for years. You might have just convinced me to.
Let's go. Let's go.
And I'll start with cold showers. I can do that. Okay, I will.
Yeah, yeah. The cool showers are a great way to start. That's what I do. It's the
Okay.
wave, and then sometimes fit in a ice bath, and that's a crazy thing.
Yeah,
But
it's the best I find if you're doing ice baths with someone else. Like sometimes my dancers and I will do it. I was doing it mostly for my body, and less for mental health. But we do them on tour sometimes together, and sometimes that group energy is just what I need to like get myself into that ice.
yeah, that's
um,
awesome. So on tour, like, will you have like a ice bath kind of with you, or like at different venues, do they sometimes have like ice baths and stuff like that?
they do not, but we bring a little kiddie pool with us, and we'll like fill it up.
Oh,
We'll just ask the venue for like lots of ice and we fill it up in the shower. And so it's like a very janky ice bath situation. It's definitely not glamorous, but
no,
it
that
does
works.
the trick.
That does it. That's all it is. It's just cold water. So it's like sometimes I will use like the ice dispenser from my fridge and fill up
No
bowls
way.
and then bring it to my bathtub and try to do it that way too. So, you know, we always just try to make it work.
And everything else is just an excuse. There are ways. There are ways we can do it.
100%.
Okay, so during the pandemic, a lot of people started streaming and doing live streams, but
Mhm.
you started doing breathwork live streams for about 15 to 20 minutes with
Mhm.
your peeps. I forget what you liked, your supporters. I
Yeah.
love that, by the way. I love that you called them the supporters. And so what is that like to share this with your audience? And then is this something that you still do?
Yeah, so this is something that I think started because of my good friend Alex Lieberman from Morning Brew. He owns that podcast, and we were talking about this breath work, and I think we did an Instagram live together where we did a guided breathing with people, and that kind of launched this sort of side quest, I guess, of doing these Instagram live streams where I'll just go live for like 15 minutes and do a round or two of the breathing. Um,
Mm.
and I've done it a couple times. I don't really have a schedule for it, but I kind of will just do it when I feel like, when I honestly just feel like it. But I think, you know, it's always a funny thing because, you know, some of the people in the comments are following along with the breathing, and other people are like, "What is this guy doing?" Like, he's not even like talking on the Instagram live; he's just breathing. And I think that's kind of cool. It definitely gets a mixed reaction, but I've actually seen some of my close supporters and people in this community that are like, "Whoa!" Like I tried it on that live stream, and I felt like more peace, and I think that's a way that I can help get more of the people in my community to really do it is by just going live, and they can follow along, and
Mhm.
you know, if they sometimes searching it up on your own and you know, finding it on your own can be a bit um, longer of a process or seem like, oh, I'll just do that tomorrow. But sometimes it's cool. Like it's kind of like what my therapist did for me, which was put me onto this amazing resource that has changed my life. And so if I'm able to kind of be that person for somebody else, or just like, hey, I stumbled across his live and I started taking some deep breaths and then felt a lot better, that's like a positive, I think. So the more people that can know, I think the better. And that's something that I'll continue to do in the future as well. So.
Oh, that's so cool. I absolutely love that. Just making such a community. And especially because you've talked about, I mean, I feel like we've all experienced, I should say, the negative effects of social media, the mean comments, the bullying, all those things that go into it. And you've talked about how you yourself were cyberbullied and
Yep.
how social media has played a role in your anxiety. And so it's really cool to now see you taking maybe the very thing that caused some of this anxiety or this, emotional damage. And it seems like you've turned it into something where you're now using it as a tool for good. And I think that's amazing. And I guess I'm curious, is there any advice that you would give to anyone who possibly is going through the negative effects of social media, or maybe they're being cyberbullied? Like, what would you say to someone?
I would say that, first of all, the internet is a really, really mean place. That's kind of, I think TikTok, it highlights that as well, that if you go to like a TikTok comment section, it's not the nicest things you're going to read that are the most liked comments. And so the internet feeds off of getting a reaction. And a lot of the things that are said on the internet are not actually said in real life and don't reflect how the real world works at all. And so I think what I would say is that, okay, somebody engaged with your content to comment a mean thing, like that's kind of, there's almost a reason why. I almost think it's because they think you can handle it. And so they almost feel comfortable saying things to people that they think are not fazed by it. So you can almost take that as like a pat on the shoulder, like, wow, people look at me as like a pretty strong person, because they don't think that comment's going to break you. They're just commenting it so other people can get a laugh or, like the comment. And so it's a very toxic place. And I would say, as long as you're being yourself and you feel like, if you feel like you're, authentically being yourself or speaking your truth, anybody that has something to say, it's pretty irrelevant, and not in like a degrading way. It's just like, I would try to focus on the positive, but of course my eyes go straight to the negative comments too. And it's almost like psychology. So what I actually do, and this is just something I do personally, and maybe this could help somebody with hate comments, because I've received a boatload. I mean, I've got like the 6th most disliked video on YouTube for my first song. So like I'm used to this cyberbullying.
That's a badge of honor right there.
Oh yeah, I wear it on my chest. And so I think what I do is I'll look at a comment, and it could be the meanest comment. It could be about somebody I love. It could be about myself, and it's really hurtful, and it actually gets me into a state of, whoa, my heart rate's going up. I don't feel as confident anymore. Okay, what I do, it's almost like, so in therapy sometimes, like there's literally, you can expose yourself to things and the fear gets smaller. So if you're running from a monster, which is like anxiety, the more you run from it, the bigger it gets. So I force myself, I know this is crazy, I force myself to look at mean comments for about 10 minutes. Like I'll literally look at the same comment for 10 minutes until I'm unfazed, because you'll realize that after about 5 minutes of looking at this comment, you're going to go, whoa. Like it has no reflection. Like you kind of separate yourself from the comment. Sometimes you'll think, oh, if it's in my comment section, it's a reflection of me, but it's really not. And so if you look at that comment enough to not be fazed by it. So like if your initial reaction would be, oh, I'm going to delete the comment, or I'm going to just exit my comment section and get out of Instagram for the day for a couple hours. It's like, what would happen if you just stared at the comment for like longer than you'd initially like to, but you're choosing to do that? It's kind of like the cold shower. It's like stepping into the discomfort of the comment. And
Yeah.
oftentimes the fear or the feelings of hurt or discomfort, after you look at it for about 5 or 10 minutes, you go, wow, I just have compassion. Like it's a different thing. You look at these comments and you go, oh, okay. Like I see what this is. It really helps you just put it into perspective that it's just a comment in the comment section, and you can go about your life, and you should look in the mirror and smile, because what really matters is that you are happy with who you are. So if it starts from a place of you being happy with who you are, you put out a piece of content, people don't like it, you can still live with the fact that you are being who you are. So I would look at the comments as kind of like, oh, they didn't get it, or they're not on the wave, or you know, I wouldn't take it personal. I would just say, that's what people do. And I think in school, like, we can all think back to like rumors and drama, and when it was easier to say something mean about somebody than it was to say something nice. And I think that's how the internet works. I don't think, like, sadly, it's just a territory. So it's like, I would say not expect, but be aware that like anything you do, it could be that you could solve a huge problem in the world, and someone will find something bad. Like, well, why didn't you solve this? Or, you know what? I don't like the pants you're wearing, so I don't care that you solve that. It's like, you should just be happy with being yourself and keep being yourself. That's what it comes down to. Trust yourself, be there for yourself. If you feel like you might not have people close that are pushing you along, sometimes I've had to be my own best friend. Like, I just sometimes will tell myself, I'll literally treat myself like I would a friend that's struggling. And a lot of the times it's like, you can get through. You're a lot stronger than you think you are. And I've always thought about it like, I mean, how bad would it be to, give up because of somebody that wanted me to? I think the time to give up's when you're ready, or not even give up, retire. That's like, where do you like chill out? I think it's whenever you feel, and it's all about you, and that's what it's about. I would just look at the comments as like, it has no reflect over your actual life. And maybe somebody in that comment section will see that comment, and maybe you get anxiety about, I don't want people to see that, so I'm going to delete it. I would just let it be, because like the Beatles say, let it be. Like for real, like that's literally the most beautiful thing. Let it be. And if you feel hurt by it, look at it more till you're unfazed. Like, literally expose yourself to the fear, and the fear gets smaller. That's scientific.
Yeah. Wow. I've never heard anyone talk about social media and commenting and bullying online like that. And I really like it. I literally just listened to an NPR special the other day about a little girl, this little tiny girl who had debilitating anxieties over, hers were over tornadoes and throwing up, like just this horrible fear. And how she talked about getting over it was facing it, letting herself know that will happen at some point. Like, a tornado will happen, and someday I will throw up, and these debilitating fears, the only way she got through them was by, like you said, staring at them and realizing that it wasn't the end of the world, that we're not going to, like, everything won't crumble because of that one comment, or because, something that somebody else thinks about you. I really like that. And I just think we'd all be a little better off if we could actually believe that these comments, they're more about how somebody else is feeling than about how we're actually portraying ourselves. It's always more about them than it is about us. So that was really, really powerful. I want to quickly ask you how you got the courage to make more music, because you said your first song that you released was the sixth most disliked video on YouTube. And since then, you've made quite a bit of music. Now, I'm very, very well acquainted with, like, the first time I put myself out there as an artist was absolutely humiliating, and so publicly so. And so I just am curious, how was it that you found the courage to be like, well, I'm going to make more music and put it out there again. I'm going to do this again.
Yeah, I mean, it was just something I love to do. I never planned on, when that song came out, that was the first song I wrote, recorded, ever. Like, ever. And so I was in New Jersey working with a producer named Tyler, and it just came about. It felt right. Like when that song was made, I actually really enjoyed it. I thought, okay, this song's great. Let's put it out there. It's gonna connect. And I mean, it really took off. And there were so many people that were like, "Oh, this song's terrible." Like, I never really, I was like, I always like making my decision up for myself. Like, I'm not one to like, oh, if somebody, like, I've never been a bandwagon where it's oh, if this team's winning, I'm gonna support this team. I'm a Washington Wizards fan, and they don't win a ton of ton of games, but I still love the team because I'm true to my team. And so I think it falls into that like, I guess, part of myself that just, if I like something, I'll keep doing it. And I remember, so that reaction to that song, and I was independent too, just independently dropped it basically from my bedroom. And so that's like a crazy thing to know how big it got. Like, it went on the Hot 100 charts, and it was almost bigger than I could have ever imagined. And people were coming up to me like, "Hey, do you want to delete the song?" And I'm like, "What? Why would I delete the song? Like let's drop another one." So I always had this mentality of like, look, I'm gonna show people, like, it's not about the first song. If anything, it's a human story. It's like, hey, I started and I wasn't musically equipped, I would say, and I wasn't the best songwriter or the best vocalist, or I didn't really have a sense for my musical direction. I kind of just threw the dart at the board and saw where it landed, and I was like, look, okay, let's try to aim for the bullseye. So I dropped another song right after that called Hit or Miss, and the reaction to that one was really good. And I dropped my first EP around the same year, and Sweatshirt was on that EP. And then I've dropped probably like 4 or 5 more EPs since then. And I've dropped 2 EPs in the last year only. And so like about 10 songs aside from singles as well, like the 2 new singles I just dropped. And I would say, like, I don't have any plans to stop, and I'm really proud that I was able to not let that, like, I was actually I was actually thinking about this the other day. Like, my life wouldn't be the same if I hadn't released that song. So I guess I'm just super appreciative for that song. I know that might sound weird, but I'm like really grateful that song came out and was created, because it set up a whole other side of what I do. That was pretty much like within my first 8 months of being on the internet, I dropped Sweatshirt pretty much.
Wow.
And so that was like crazy. Like, I remember once I dropped that song, that's when everything went crazy. So it was like I never really had, I guess, like, gone. Maybe I had a video that did well before, but I never really, like, it. That one really took it to a different place, and I think from there I wanted to just improve on my artistry, go back to the drawing board and focus on my lyrics. My lyrics today are so different from from You Can Wear My Sweatshirt, but I think it was true to who I was at the time. I was a young guy. I enjoyed it. I really liked that song, actually, and I still do. And so I guess just continuing to drop music and know that I feel like I only had room for improvement. I guess if that was my first stepping stone, I was like, I mean, I can only improve from here. So I was really excited for the challenge. And I'm a huge guy that loves underdogs. I love the underdog story. Like, a team that is slept on and everybody hates, oh, they're no good. But then they come back and they win the championship. That's what I love this game of kind of I love, like, redemption, and I love a challenge. And so, like, I'm really excited for people to hear the new music I've got. I have a new single coming out on the 30th of this month called Temporary Tattoo, and I'm independent and I'm just dropping music that I'm writing and creating with my friends. And so that's pretty much, I'm just kind of dropping music and Yeah, I mean, it is a crazy thing to think back to. It definitely brings me down memory lane. Like that song, it unlocks a lot of memories, and it was a crazy time. But I wouldn't trade it for anything.
That's so cool. And you know, it's an exciting thought when you put it that way, that we all have the chance to get that underdog story, because we all have lows. We all have moments where you're like, wow, this is the bottom. I'm embarrassed, or I'm humiliated, or this was like a waste of time or resources, or all the different things that, you know, those bottom moments can make us feel. But it's also, you know, I recently read a book that was talking about the power of falling up. Like after you've fallen down, it gives you the chance to fall up and take
Hmm.
that momentum in a whole new direction. And yeah, the fact that you just said, like, we all get to be our own underdog story if we have the right perspective is like really powerful. And also congrats on, yeah, your multiple EPs this year. I was noticing that and I'm like, dang, that's a lot of work.
Thank you.
Congrats on your, we played one of your songs right before you jumped on. But before we run out of time, is there any last things you want to tell us about? Because I know we didn't get to some important things, like you have a movie that just came out, and then also the EP that just launched. Like maybe you want to tell us a little bit about those two things.
For sure. Yeah. So yeah, I guess there's a new movie that came out on October, or no, maybe it was, I don't know the date it came out, but it's out in the world, and it's called The Loneliest Boy in the World. We filmed that in the UK, in Wales, and that was my first experience on camera acting with a great cast. I mean, like people that have been acting for a while, like Ashley Benson, Evan Ross, Hero Phineas Tiffin, um, Max Harwood, uh, like these legends. And so it was a crazy opportunity to be able to hop in, and it was actually funny. It's actually so funny that we were just talking about cyberbullying, and in this movie I play a bully, which was really cool because it's like I almost got to channel all the bullies that I've faced in my life and kind of bring that to this character named Kurt. And he's not the nicest guy in the movie, but it helps tell the larger story of a guy named Oliver, who is really isolated, and he's almost craving connection and a family, and that's I guess a human story. It is, and I feel it. Yeah, so it was cool to be on set, and we filmed that probably about 8 months ago, and that's out in the world, which I'm stoked about, and a lot of new acting stuff coming up as well, that I'm really excited about. Everything low key, top secret, but
Ooh.
on the acting side, yeah, I'm really stoked, and yeah, with this new EP, Sleep When I'm Dead, I dropped that on I forget which day, but maybe it was yeah, maybe like 2 months ago or something. But yeah, that was like a 5-song project, and I really think it's cool. I think it captures how I was feeling in that time really well. I locked in with my good friend Gingerbread, who is a very talented producer. It was just us two pretty much locked in, creating these songs, and so yeah, that one was really fun. He executive produced that EP as well, so all the songs were created with him, and it was a really really fun time. And I think the music on there sounds so different from the music I've put out before that I think it's going to take some time for it to kind of connect, because I mean, I'm saying some bad words, and I'm talking about some different things, and so it's my truth. And going back to what we were talking about, it's just like I always want to stay true to myself, and I've grown up a lot. I put out Sweatshirt at 13, and now I'm 20, so it's like it's like it's a pretty crazy thing to see the change in the music. And I'm excited for the people that keep up and for the people that have been so supportive. It's awesome. Even this new song I dropped after the EP, Make Up Your Mind, I'm stoked on that. And Temporary Tattoo, that's coming out. I'm really excited for that. I'm kind of just building on this punk pop lane, but keeping it really pop. So it's kind of got this little taste of this punk wave that's super in right now and that I'm a huge fan of, with people like MGK and Travis Barker, Blink-182. And so it's a little bit of those inspirations, and also Green Day. You know, that's a band that my dad played for me, growing up a ton. And I remember being like, whoa, like I've never really heard music like this. So being able to use some of that and the electric guitars and kind of those drums that are really mean, and like this whole new wave is really interesting, because I also have a new EP in the works that I'll probably drop it like it'll be a shorter EP, but it's going to be different sounding than I've ever put out. So not even punk pop, no drums on it. I'm doing like a completely different thing. It's in the works right now. I actually have like my Apollo Twin interface out right now with my computer, and I'm in the middle of working on a song that'll probably end up on there. But so like I'm almost like addicted to creating stuff, whether it's content, music, all this stuff. And yeah, I kind of try to fill my day with as much of it as possible. But you know, I heard you mention earlier that you're about to go on tour. That sounds awesome. Is it like a US like tour, or is it international?
It is. It's a US tour. I just did a few dates overseas, but just came back, and we're literally starting tomorrow. I'm like, my mind's a little bit of a blur just thinking about it all, but I'm so excited. All that, you know, all that hard work that goes into the album, and then the creation of the tour and the practicing. And so I'm kind of like you. I'm addicted to creating. I just love to make things to share. And I think you kind of have to be in order to be in our industry. Otherwise you'll hate it if you don't love creating. And so I'm so excited to get out there.
That's awesome. And you know, I just have to say it on this podcast that I'll send you some like music that I'm working on, but I would love to have you play violin on one of my upcoming songs if you'd be down.
Oh my gosh, please send it over. I know our people are in contact. So yeah, I'll have them give you my email so that
would be a game changer, because you're like so talented, and that's a sound that I haven't ever put on a song before. So it would be really crazy.
Oh my gosh, I'm so down. I mean, thanks for thinking of me. I'd be absolutely honored. So I look forward to hearing it.
Let's go. Yeah. Okay. I'll send it, even whatever, but I'll send some ideas that I'm working on that could be really cool. Like to have that extra sauce on there. I think it's missing that sauce. So.
Well, that's me. See, I am sauce. The
Let's
violin. Sick.
That would be so legendary.
That'd be so fun. Well, I mean, gosh, thank you for taking the time to jump on and chat with me, and for sharing so much wisdom. Like, I feel like I tell you, I'm going to report back on the cold shower thing, but also just sharing so much about, you know, your story, your truth, and really inspiring all of us here to really be proud to be ourselves, I think is like my biggest takeaway from everything that you said. So yeah, thank you for all of that.
No, thank you so much for having me on here. I'm a huge fan. I've watched you for years, and I'm like, this was so cool. Like, I almost didn't think this was real, because I was like, what? Like, this is insane. So I'm really stoked, and I hope you have an amazing tour. And I'll send a couple songs somehow through the Teams or through DM or something, and it would be so cool to do some sort of collab with the violin. And like, I think it would change everything. So,
amazing.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen. I'm so down.
Everybody go see Lindsey on tour.
Oh, thank you.
And it's going to be lit. Are you playing a show in LA?
I am. It's right before Christmas. So I don't know if you're still in town on the 23rd of December, you let us know and I'll get you tickets.
That would be sick. Okay. I'll let you know if I'm in town.
Okay. Awesome. Well, until then, have a great day and best of luck with your upcoming EP. Everybody make sure your upcoming single. Everybody make sure to check it out.
Hey, thank you so much. Have a great day, Lindsey. Thank you for having me again.
Absolutely. Bye. And bye everybody for listening. Thanks.